This is Miss Battle, and today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. The example we're going to look at is 1 and 5/6 plus 2 and 2/8. 1 and 5/6 and 2 and 2/8 are mixed numbers because they have a whole number out front and a fraction behind them. The reason that we call this adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators is because if you look at the denominators 6 and 8, they are not like one another. They are different from one another. There are 6 steps to adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. In this video, they're going to be color-coded like the rainbow. And at the end, we'll have the problem solved. Step 1, turn all mixed numbers into improper fractions. So if we look at our example, 1 and 5/6 plus 2 and 2/8, we want to turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So we do times on the bottom, plus on the top, and you can also work in a horseshoe direction. So when we look at our first one, we get 1 times 6 plus 5. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 5 is 11. So that's going to be 11 over 6. So the denominator stays the same. If you look at our next fraction, you get 2 times 8 plus 2. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 2 is 18. So that is going to be 18 over the denominator, which stays the same, which was 8. So our 1 and 5/6 plus 2 and 2/8 becomes 11 over 6 plus 18 over 8. If there are no mixed numbers in your problem, you can skip this step. Step 2, you're going to find the LCM for the denominators. The LCM is the least common multiple. So we have 11 over 6 plus 18 over 8 from our last step. If you look at the denominators 6 and 8, you're going to need to find the LCM of 6 and of 8. We do our prime factorization for 6, and we see we get 2 and 3, which are both prime numbers, which is why they've been circled. We take 8, and you get 2 times 4 and 2 times 2, leaving you with 2 times 2 times 2. We're going to make our VIN and start to fill it in. So 6 prime factors of 6 are going to go on the left, prime factors of 8 are going to go on the right, and any pairs that I have are going to go on in the intersection in the middle. So I start on the left of my 6. I see I have a 2, and I have a 2 on the 8 next to it. So that is going to be a pair of 2's. Okay. Next, I have a 3 from the 6 and 2 2's on the 8's left over. So those are going to go in there. And please, that 4 is a composite number. That does not go in your Venn diagram because it is not a prime. Okay. So our LCM is where we take all of those numbers, 3, 2, 2, and 2, and we multiply them together. When you do that, you see 3 times 2 is 6. Bring down the times 2 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Bring down the times 2, and you get 24. So our LCM for 6 and 8 is 24. The next step, step 3, is to make equivalent fractions using the LCM as your denominator. This is a step that I think most of my students get lost on because they're not sure what it means. So let's talk about that. We had that our LCM is 24, and we had the fractions 11 over 6 and 18 over 8. We're going to make new fractions equivalent to the old ones that are going to have 24 as their denominator. When we set it up, it looks like this. So we have the equal sign telling us we're making equivalent fractions, and we have 24 is going to be our new denominator. I'm going to start on the left, and I'm going to see that 6 times 4 is 24. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. And I get 44 because 11 times 4 is 44. Go on the other side, I see 8 times 3 is 24. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 18 times 3, I'm going to have to take that out to the side. 3 times 8 is 24. Put a 4 on the bottom, carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So 54 is our numerator. So 44 over 24 and 54 over 24 are our equivalent fractions. Step 4 is add or subtract. So after our last step, the denominators are the same. 44 over 24 plus 54 over 24. When we add or subtract, the denominator stays the same. We take our 54 plus 44 out to the side, and we see that it's 98. So our answer is 98 over 24. Step number 5, you're going to turn improper fractions into mixed numbers. You're going to use TIBO to do that. So from our last step, we had 98 over 24. That's an improper fraction because the numerator, the number on top, is greater than the denominator, the number on bottom. So top in, bottom out. 24 is not something I have memorized. I'm going to take it out to the side. I'm going to do 24 plus 24 is 48. That's too small. Keep going. 72, too small. Keep going. 96. 96 looks right. So I go back to the top and I remember that that was my times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4. So I know that 96 is 24 times 4. So I'm going to put my place marker there. 24 does not go into 9, but it goes into 98 4 times. 24 times 4 is 96. When I subtract, I get 2. There's nothing else to bring down. I want to write my remainder as a fraction. The way we do that is remainder over divisor. So my remainder is 2, that goes on the top, and my divisor is 24, that goes on the bottom as my denominator. So I get 4 and 2 over 24 as my answer. If your answer was not an improper fraction, so we had 98 over 24, which was improper, but if your answer was not an improper fraction, you can skip this step. Last, we have step 6 to simplify all fractions. So we had 4 and 2 over 24. We're going to focus on the fraction and leave the whole number alone. The fraction was 2 over 24. We're going to simplify that. To simplify, I need to find the GCF, or greatest common factor, of my numerator and my denominator. So the GCF of 2 and 24. I'm going to make my factor trees. 2 is a prime number, so it just gets circled. 24 is 4 times 6. And as you can see, I've continued the prime factorization. I've got 2, and 2 is 4, 2 and 3 is 6. Now I'm going to do my Venn diagram. Oh, and I crossed out the 4 and the 6 because those are composites. I don't want to get confused. I make my Venn diagram, my factors of 2 on the left, my factors of 24 on the right, my pairs in the middle, and everything that's going to go in the Venn diagram is going to be a prime number. I have a pair of 2's, so I put a 2 in the center. And then I have a 2, and a 3 left over on the side of the 24, nothing left over on my 2's. And I'm going to remember that to find the GCF, I multiply everything in the middle. In this case, we only have a 2. So the GCF of 2 and 24 is 2. What I'm going to do now is take my fraction, which was 2 over 24, and I'm going to make an equivalent fraction that's going to be simplified. The way that I do that is by dividing by my GCF. My GCF was 2, so it's going to be 2 divided by 2 and 24 divided by 2. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 24 divided by 2 is 12, so I get 1/12. So 4 and 2 over 24 is equal to 4 and 1/12, which is my final answer. Now, if your GCF is 1, that means the fraction is already simplified. It is already in simplified form. So you'll see that 1 and 5/6 plus 2 and 2/8 equals 4 and 1/12, which I think was totally unexpected. We have to go through all of these steps to find the correct answer. Step 1, just a refresher, mix numbers into improper fractions. If there are no mixed numbers, you can skip this step. Step 2, find the LCM of the denominators. Step 3 is making those equivalent fractions using the LCM as your new denominator. Step 4, you do your addition or subtraction. Step 5, if you have improper fractions, turn them back into mixed numbers. If you don't have improper fractions, you're going to skip this step. Step 6, all fractions that you see must be simplified. If your GCF is 1, they are already simplified. Leave whole numbers alone in this step. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed your homework for this week, and this is Miss Battle signing out.